Shalom, 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 shalom. Hey, giving all praise to my heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Yeshim, Yahweh Shai by Yeshim Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders that rule well. Peace and many salutations to Yakim that's toiling in his truth. I found this information. Well, there's this news I should say about Qatar building the Air Force in Idaho. Very interesting. Um, and it reminded me of Rome and how Rome began to hire various nations, you know, um, for military campaigns and for protection, which led to their destruction. And we were having a conversation before camp, brother Taz of mine and I, about this scenario, and even in the chat that we're in, and brothers concluded, the same thing. That this could possibly be, you know, uh, a way in which these foreigners uh, weaken and attack this place. We know, prophetically speaking, that uh, foreigners will have a huge will be a part of the huge or the reason why I should say this place falls. Alluding to Jeremiah the 51st chapter. Let me grab it for you guys real quick. Okay. Now this is Jeremiah 51, and I started one. Thus said Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that raise up against me a destroying wind. Now we know that this is uh, uh, talking about ancient Babylon, but this could be utilized for uh, Babylon the Great now, which is America. Okay, all right. Because we know the Edomites are the uh, the daughters of Babylon, alluding to Psalms 137. Okay, verse 7. All right. So this place, like ancient Babylon, is going to be destroyed by foreigners. This place here is going to be toppled by foreigners. Okay. It says, and I was seeing unto Babylon fanners. And you look at this word fanners, it goes into foreigners. Now, if you read this in the NLT, it actually says it says foreigners will come and winnow her, blowing her away as chaff. They will come from every side to rise against her in her day of trouble. Right. So you're gonna have foreigners come and play a huge part in this place being destroyed. Now, with this um, Air Force being built in Idaho, could this be a catalyst to these foreigners invading this place? It could very well be, but this shows something. Also shows you that Babylon the Great is weakening, man. And it's forming these political pacts. And allowing something as extreme as a foreign uh, country build an air force here, which is unprecedented, right? America doesn't allow these foreign countries to come and build on its soil. It's the other way around, which shows America's dominance, and that dominance is waning, right? Right, and we can see it in the nuance of America allowing other countries, well, a country to build a base here, man. And again, this is very similar to the decline of Rome, which we'll get. Okay, but back to the scriptures, it says, "And I will send unto Babylon fanners that will fan her and empty her land for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about, against him that bendeth like the ark bent his bow, and against him that lifted up his up that in him that lifted himself up in his uh brigade dying, and spare ye not her young man, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Right. So with uh with America allowing, you know, more presence of foreign countries in its boundaries, this is going to be again callous to this place falling. And not only, say we see this militarily speaking with, the overt reserve, of course, with Qatar building an air force in Idaho. You see economically, you know what I'm saying? um, China actually owns a substantial amount uh, of corporations here in the U.S., including food corporations. You know what I'm saying? One of the main producers of pork products, is owned by China, man. China has, you know, uh, bought a substantial amount of land here in the U.S., right? So this place is more and more dependent on other countries versus just dealing with inside production, man, which again is going to lead to this place weakening and ultimately being toppled. Let's see if I could get that for you. China owns U.S. countries own corporations. Let's see if I can get this for you. All right, let's get this. It says here are 13 major U.S. Companies under Chinese ownership. Right, over the past decade, China firms have acquired several high-profile American companies, marking a notable shift in global business dynamics. From food processing leaders like Smithfield Foods, and this is where I was alluding to. I just couldn't remember the name. I just wanted to look it up for y'all so you can have it for yourself. To luxury chains such as Wardrobe, Astoria. These purchases highlight growing Chinese investment in strategic U.S. In, industries. Okay, um, let's go. Let's go down to some Smith Field Foods is a meat manufacturing company, man. Right? It says Smithfield Foods in 2013. YM Group, previously known as Shanghai International, acquired Smithfield Foods for 4.7 billion. The deal included over 146,000 acres of farmland in the United States, while the company's operations remain in Virginia. Full ownership now belongs to China. You see that? GE Appliances, uh, Haier Group, a Chinese appliance manufacturer, purchased GE Appliances in 2016 for 5.4 billion. Through the brand, though the brand still operates within the U.S., the acquisition shifted control to China. The deal was part of Haier's plan to strengthen its global position in the home appliance market. Motorola Mobility, right? Next tier, automotive, excuse me, right? What else? Woodruff Astoria, right? Which is a well-known hotel in New York. Strategic Hotels and Resorts, uh, Circus Aircraft, right? So you got you have the you have various um, huge corporations that's owned by China, and also the land that it utilizes to produce its product, man, or to conduct business. And Shalom Bros, you know what I'm saying, right? So not only is the U.S., aka Babylon, being inhabited, you know, by foreigners militarily speaking, alluding to the Air Force, you got it economically speaking, right? China, presence, is seen on a very broad level. We just read a few examples. All these things again are going to lead to this place being destroyed, bro. America doesn't produce anything, doesn't have the money to produce anything, doesn't have the innovation to produce anything, doesn't have the manpower to produce certain things, right? It's just utterly through, right? And we see the erosion of this place, you know what I'm saying, in our everyday lives, man. Look at the morale of the people. The average person, adult, is childish, right? Is in a arrested development, state of mind, having matured, you know, uh, past, I would say, 16-year-old, man. You can't run a government with moron from top to bottom. Here you had Peter Hogseth telling other nations FAFO, and then a week later, this guy is signing a treaty to allow Qatar to build an air force in Idaho, man. Right? So all that big talk that this guy was doing was really nothing. Okay? It was really nothing. Right? And these other nations that's starting to see it more and more. And it's going to lead to these them rising up against this place. Okay? We'll play this for you guys, man.
Of our partnership.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced earlier this morning that the Qatari Air Force will send personnel to the Mountain Home Air Force Base, including a contingent of Qatari F-15s and pilots as part of an agreement with Qatar. Thanks for joining us for the news at 10. I'm Abby Wilt. Let's bring in Aspen Shumpert now. Aspen, you've been following this story today and looking into it. What can you tell us as of tonight?
Yeah, Abby, first off, Secretary Hegseth issued a clarification about the announcement today. That announcement was made on X just before 6 p.m. Today in the press conference, he said the letter of acceptance was to, quote, build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility. But in a clarification on X tonight, he said Qatar will not have their own base here in the U.S., nor anything like a base, and the U.S. controls the existing base. When reaching out to the Mountain Home Air Force Base Public Affairs Office today about the Qatari Air Base, the office told us it was better for someone at the federal level to speak to this and forwarded our request that way. A U.S. official got back to us saying the facility was executed with foreign military sales, and this will help create a stronger partnership between the U.S. and Qatar, while also allowing for advanced training opportunities. Additionally, the Mountain Home Mayor's team says the city is still gathering information about the scope, timeline, and specific details of this agreement.
Today, we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emiri Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho.
We've reached out to Mountain Home City Council members, senators, and House representatives for their reaction as well, and are waiting to hear back. But additionally, it appears conversations around the facility have been taking place for several years. A 2022 environmental assessment of the program was completed during the Biden administration that deemed no significant impacts. The plans speak to a dozen F-15 fighter jets at Mountain Home Air Force Base, and it would bring about 300 Qatari and U.S. personnel to the base starting in fiscal year 2024. Construction.
So this was a nonpartisan move, meaning basically the Democrats and Republicans agreed on this, man. Starting back in 2022 with Joe Biden. Now, if you're talking about making America great, why the hell would you allow a foreign um, country to build a U.S. Air Force in your country, man? Right? Well, and really the reason why they're doing this because these various nations, including America, is gearing up for war, and they understand, right? It takes personnel or soldiers to win a war, right? The average American has a very negative view on enlisting. The enlisting numbers are down substantially, right? Which I believe, this is my personal opinion, this is why ICE was created, to uh, indirectly enlist people, right, and give them a uh, you know arbitrary or even false enemy to combat, aka the foreigners, or what I'm saying, the tribes, right? And with them being enlisted, guess what? When there is an invasion, from a real uh, enemy, these people who are in ICE, you know, they're already enlisted and they'll be fighting. But that's just my conjecture. I could be off. I could be wrong. But we do know this: enlisting is at an all-time low, right? America, has embassies in damn near every country. It's spreading itself too thin, right? But in order for you to win a war, you have to have boots on the ground. Okay, this is why the Afghanistan war took so long, because enlisting. Right, you had people doing 3 or 4 freaking tours, coming back with PTSD, because people don't want to be involved in the U.S. Army for numerous reasons. Some have heard horror stories of how soldiers are treated. Other people, that they're not for the neo-colonialism that's going on. Right, right, and some just don't feel patriotic enough to fight. Right, so just like Rome had to hire, you know, um, uh, foreign countries, for basically soldiers. The U.S. is doing the same thing, which this could lead to his detriment. Okay. Now I'm gonna finish this, and I have a couple of things that I asked Chat GPT in regards to this topic. I want to read for you guys, and we'll get a couple of scriptures, and that'll be it.
Of the new housing and hangars was planned to support the joint training mission. Now, because there's been some schedule changes and that basing did not start in fiscal year 2024, the timeline and details of the facility's program moving forward might look a little different. We're keeping our eyes on everything as things continue to develop around this announcement, Abby.
And Aspen, quick question, quick clarification.
Yeah.
This isn't a new base coming to Mountain Home, is that correct?
Right. It's more of a new facility coming to Mountain Home. There's already an existing base there, so there's things that are going to be built there to adapt to that program.
It's not a new base, but it's a new facility. Esau use all. He know how to use certain words. It's a new base, though. It's a new base because it's foreigners coming in here. You know what I'm saying? But Esau even like to use those words, man, to make people feel at ease. Nah, you maggers, you been sold out, bro. Right? Hey, call Allah Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shah. Now, I asked Chat GPT. As this is a word, there are cases in Rome where they allow other countries to build a base in its territory. Now, prior to that, I asked, can America allow Qatar to build a base in the U.S. be likened unto America hiring mercenaries, right? Which, basically clarify mercenary is, you know, is more so like you know, hiring like independent armies versus an actual country. So not necessarily a mercenary, um, but it's more so like you know, them building, you know, a we're hiring a country, you know, to come in its borders, much like what Rome did, you know. So I was asking about Rome, things of that nature. So I want to read this for you guys. I thought it was very interesting. It says, um, excellent historical question. And the short answer is no. Ancient Rome never allowed foreign powers to build or maintain independent military bases within its border. Here's a breakdown on how that worked and what few exceptions exist. So it says no, but it says there was exceptions. Just like this place, you know, America would never let, you know, other nations to build bases here, but there's exceptions. We're seeing that exception now, right? Rome's core principle: no foreign armies on Roman soil. Romans, Rome's concept of imperium, the right to command troops, was jealously guarded. Only Roman magistrates, generals, or emperors had the right within Roman land. So, foreign states like allied kingdoms or uh, clinic uh, client states could not maintain troops or forts um, inside Italy or the Roman province without Roman control. Any foreign soldiers present were either under Roman command or host as former allies, never as independent forces. Allied states in client kingdoms. Rome often had allies with other nations, but these came with limits. Allies like the Latins, Italians, or Greeks could supply troops to Rome. Client kings like Herod in Judea, right, or the Nabateans could rule their territories and raise armies, but not inside Roman territory, right? When Rome annexed a client kingdom, its army was disbanded or integrated into Roman command. So while Rome allowed foreign control territories on its frontiers, it did not allow foreign military enclaves within Roman land. Exceptions. Now, this is the exception here. This is what we're seeing now, right? With America. Okay. There are only a few special or symbolic exceptions. Embassies or foreign envoys might have guarded compounds in Rome, but not no real military presence. In late antiquity, Rome employed barbarian Foederati, allied troops like Goths or Vandals to defend parts of the frontier. This is what we see now. Okay, brothers. This is what we see going on now with the Qatari Air Force facility being built. All right. These groups sometimes settle within imperial borders with their own leaders under treaty. This was tolerated temporarily and it famously backfired. The Goths later rebelled, sacked Rome in 1410. Right? So uh this is what we see going on now, right? These various alliances, the Foederati being built, right, with Qatar, right? And this could lead to what? Lead to this place being destroyed. Okay, right? So let's get to some scriptures. Let's get to some scriptures. All right. Now, this is Obadiah 1:7. Actually, I'll start up. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are the hidden ones sought up? All the men of thy confederacy has brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Right? So the various men or these nations down in confederacy with Babylon the Great, what's going to happen? Well, it's they're going to come up against this place, man. Could it be Qatar? Right? Don't know. Could it be China? Don't know. Right? Well, we know that these other nations are grumbling at this place. They're tired of this place. They're tired of the pride that this place, exemplifies, man. Right? Esau Edom talks very proudly to these other nations, right? And give these nations, saying bad deals, right? In the time in which, the economy is shifting, right? So people are going to, these other nations, they're going to be more about themselves and their people versus, appeasing a fallen nation, aka Babylon the Great. Okay. Right. Verse 8, shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise man out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Right. And this is what we see going on now. Right. The understanding of this place is being destroyed. Okay. Being toppled. Right. Esau is in a very childish, petty mindset that's going to lead to its destruction. Okay. All right. Let's go to Jeremiah. Now, this Jeremiah 30 is talking about, this is alluding to the Israelites, where we could utilize this for Esau Edom. Okay. Jeremiah 30:14. All thy lovers have forsaken thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins are increased. Right? So all the, pacts, political pacts that Esau Edom has, right? A lot of these nations, they're going to cross, double cross Esau Edom, aka Babylon the Great, right? Or I should say Babylon the Great, Edomites and Babylon the Great. Okay, right? Because the other nations, they're in a bad state, so they're gonna go with the person who can help them the most. Case in point, look at France. France is in a dilapidated state, man. Right? It's currencies that were set up to basically be the reserve currency for these so-called African continent countries. Is no more, right? Weakening its currency. Okay, and America has been no avail to France. We can see France, doing what? Deciding to side with the enemy or with Babylon's enemies. There's a lot of scenarios that could happen. Okay. All right. And we just gotta sit back and watch. But we know, prophetically speaking, that the beast is going to eventually hate the whore. All right. Let's see here. This is Revelation 17:15. He said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore cities, which is Babylon the Great, okay, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, right, which is NATO EU, right, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, right? So these various NATO nations, they're going to eventually turn on this place, right? They're going to eventually hate the whore. And we see it, that sentiment ruling before our eyes. Okay? All right? You know, and they're starting with these smaller nations, you know, making certain political pacts and things of that nature to come up against this place. Ironically speaking, you know, the biggest economic partner with America is doing so, China. Okay? All right? So it's getting very interesting out here, man. You know, this you know, this you know US, this Air Force being built, you know, in Idaho. It represents, it shows, you know, that the power of America is waning, you know, and we gotta sit back and just see the repercussions of it. All right, but it definitely shows you that America is getting weak. All right, and just like Rome and allowing, you know, certain uh, nations to come in, you know, and build bases, you know, which led to its overthrow. We could possibly see it here. You know, we just got to sit back and watch. But we are definitely in some exciting times. Okay, pray it was edifying for you all. You know, do your research on what I just said. You know what I'm saying? Pray it was edifying. Shalom.